It's another beautiful day on our property. Jesse's already been hard at work finishing the buttress. It's pretty dang good if you ask me. My task of the morning is to get this section of the footing finished. Last night, I just ran out of energy. I was just absolutely tanked, and the littlest things were frustrating me, which is usually a sign to quit. We worked a 16-hour day yesterday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We were in bed by 10, up at 6 again, so we got 8 hours of sleep last night. That's amazing! We also have to set the forms for the piers here and here. And I think Jesse already cut the lumber that we need to do that. I think he said something about assembling them together, and then we'll set them up. And I think because these are 12-foot forms, I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of excavating right here. And we'll probably just do that with a shovel because we ain't getting the backhoe in here. How do you like working in shorts over your pants?
I have the most awkward tan on my legs. But you know what's funny is every night I wash half of it off.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, man, my legs are tan, and I take a shower. And I'm like, white as ever.
I'm not brave enough to work in shorts yet, but my shorts are a little shorter than yours.
I will say I'm impressed by these shorts. They do not limit my movement, which is important.
Oh my gosh.
They're the Flex fire hose pants, but there is something about the Flex. Like a pair of fire hose pants kind of makes me freak out, but the Flex actually works. Have I fallen once or tripped over my pants? No. Shorts? No. We're gonna lay a string across all these forms just to see if we did a good job.
If it's bad, do we admit that publicly or do we edit it out?
Well, if this makes it into the video, it's because we did it right. So right there, we're off by about 1/8. This is looking pretty good. Looks pretty good, love.
Wow.
This footage might make it into the video.
In deciding where to put the house, it was very important to us not to have to cut this tree down. And now that we're working here, we're really happy we didn't. If it weren't for that one tree, I don't think we'd have any of this shade right here.
That one tree creates a monicum of shade.
So like, what's that worth? It's priceless.
It's priceless. We got to take good care of that tree. We might have to do a little trimming once the house is up, but it'll be close. Yeah, it'll be close. We'll have to keep it trimmed and stuff, but it'll be the one shade tree that we have on our house right now.
Yeah. Oh boy, time for rebar. Time for rebar.
So we need to look over the rebar schedule. For the footing, it's pretty simple. We basically have 2 courses of 2 bars, and so these pieces need to be 3 inches in from each edge. So 3 inches in from the inside edge, 3 inches in from the outside edge. And there are 2 bars per course. And what we're gonna do is we really wanna create the same pieces over and over, you know? So we basically wanna build both courses as we go, instead of going back and having to do the same work over again, you know? So when we get a measurement, we just cut 2 of those, or bend 2 of those in this case. What's important is that the rebars are bent around the corners, and there needs to be a minimum of 24 inches of lap between pieces. So those are really the major details for the outside of the footing. I think we'll work on the grids for the piers last, because those are basically just cutting the rebar to length setting it in place and then tying the grid. And then what we would do is raise the grid off the bottom of the form. Those are pretty straightforward, but the perimeter footing, it's going to take a while because there's just quite a bit of bending to be done. We'll be using the manual bender. We'll bring it over here so we're not having to walk the rebar far. On the buttress, what we'll probably do is we'll probably leave these runs on the back continuous, and then we'll bend a piece with 2 feet of lap, and then it'll turn the corner and go into the buttress.
Wowzers. Is that hard?
No, it's hard. Watch yourself.
In we go. Oh, sweet. Okay, so you bent this 2 ways. Nice. Alyssa's making an executive decision. It's time for chocolate banana peanut butter smoothies.
Come to me. Come to me, you
sweet, precious
frozen refreshment.
Oh my gosh, it's pretty good. I nailed it first try.
Oh my god.
It's so chocolatey. It's so peanut buttery.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
This should be on more construction sites around the world.
Yeah. This looks so good, Jesse. We're done with the perimeter. Woot woot. Next, we're gonna work on this buttress here. So we need 4 pieces total. They're all gonna be identical. We're gonna have 2, one on top of the other, coming in here and going out 2 feet that way, and then 2 coming out here and going that way. I checked the forecast because I'm hot and I just wanted to see how much longer we have to be hot. And as far as the forecast goes, 10 days, it could easily continue to be 100 degrees on our property. Going on a month now.
We've got all of our long runs of rebar laid. That went really good. It's quite fun to see all this go together where you don't really measure, or excuse me, you don't really cut much rebar. You just keep extending the rebar as long as you have the proper lap length and everything works good. You just keep going, which rebar is pretty inexpensive on a job this size, so we could certainly waste a phenomenal amount of time trying to save a couple feet of rebar. So now we need to actually hold the rebar up off the bottom of the form, so that while the concrete's being poured, the rebar is actually, I think, probably a third of the way up the form. And there's 2 courses. So we're going to tie off the first course to the outside of the form, and then we're going to tie off the top course to the form. And we're doing that with wire. Wire's plenty strong enough to stand up to the concrete being pumped. So I've set the rebar on these bricks back here, and this is for the bottom course, which is the back verticals. So we're going to tie the bottom pieces off to this nail. So I'll step in there. And I'll probably have your help. So if you can get ahead of me a little bit with nails, you probably need to tie it off maybe like every 4 feet or so. And then what I'll probably do is leave the wire out so you can tie it off to the finishing nail. So I'll tie it on the first nail around the rebar, then you need to loop it up over that nail and then tie it off to the nail. So I think you'll find this rebar is a lot more stable than it looks. I mean, it's not locked in, right? By any means, but I'm sure by the time I get done I'll be a little more proficient.
I might be able to work on this while you cut rebar.
Okay, you want to try?
Sure.
How's the wire tying going?
It's going really well.
Yeah, this looks really good.
It took a little bit just to get the hang of it, like how much to pull out, how to make it easy, but this is the first thing in this foundation that feels repetitive.
And lots of it, yeah.
So I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
I guess have to like, not that thinking's bad, but it's nice to just work sometimes too.
Fair enough.
What did I do?
You're looking good. Fantastic, yeah. A lot of work, huh?
Yeah, this is a rat's nest in here alone. Yeah. Just rebar coming out of your rebar, going up, down.
I knew this was going to be a slow stage. I knew that.
It's okay though.
Yeah, it's important work.
Well, motivation to video ran out about 3 hours ago, so we've pretty much beast moded on this without you guys. And I don't have much energy to explain what we did. Maybe Jesse does. Wow, you're so dirty.
Here's the 10-second summary. Cut a bunch of rebar, hung a bunch of rebar, put a bunch of stakes in, fixed a bunch of stuff, and fixed a bunch of other stuff. So real quick, this footing, we actually overdug. That's not the truth. The point is, the footing bed on this footing is too deep. So what we're doing to compensate is we're actually forming this footing all the way to the ground. It's only about 16 feet total. So I believe that's called underpinning. That had to do with more excavation and not knowing how deep we'd be able to go to the hillside. So in the end, we're having to form this down. This is the only area in the whole foundation we have to do this, which works out really good. It was actually a really quick fix because it turns out everything was like 2x8, 2x6 done.
Yeah. And
we have a bunch of lumber laying around. We have a sawmill, so that worked out pretty good.
Yep.
You, All-Star Alyssa, today tied 156 feet of rebar times 4. In the afternoon, mind you. That was the afternoon. In the morning, we bent rebar and put it all in and all that other stuff. So we still have quite a bit left to do tomorrow. We're gonna kind of play it by ear in the morning and see how we feel. We're definitely more tired today. I don't feel like production was this high today, so
we're sluggish. We've been at this.
We're not stupid about pushing. We need to double check a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that need to be reviewed. So we're gonna kind of play it by ear in the morning, and if we think we cannot get this pour done correctly, then we'll just call it off. And we'll do it another day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you called the concrete place and the
The plumpity plump.
the plump place.
Concrete plumpers.
The concrete folks said, if you can give us a couple days in advance, a day in advance, that'd be great. And we're like, oh, you don't need like 3 weeks in advance? They're like, no. So that makes us less apprehensive about potentially needing to delay it.
I think that there's...
If we need to.
People will argue with me, but I think the reality of concrete is that there are so many factors that make concrete happen that it almost always, there are probably people in this world who are not this way, but it's almost always chaos. Because it's either too hot, the truck got delayed, the pump got delayed, the people got delayed, the inspection got delayed, like something got delayed.
That's true.
And so my experience with concrete, for what it's worth, has always been kind of chaotic. We're trying not to be that way. We're trying to basically get to the point where we could sit and rest for a couple minutes before the concrete shows up. Because floating and rotting all this stuff, the two of us, we do have somebody who's going to come help us. So thankfully we've got a little bit of help. But it's hot, so we're going to be busy, and we don't need to be absolutely just burned.
On that note, time to clean up. I think it's almost 9.
I forgot to mention, I cut somewhere around 200 pieces of vertical rebar.
Wow.
By hand.
That's
today.
insane.
I cut all the mats for these 5-foot piers. I cut the mat for that 3-foot pier out there. I cut all the verticals for the entire perimeter of this building. That was quite an effort. That alone was a full-on workout.
Yeah, I bet.
And then add another 14-hour workday in there, so.